What's up, guys? Mason the Rock Henderson here. This is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 3, Episode 15, Spacetime. Really good episode. Just everything that I love about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. all wrapped up into one episode. You've got the humor, you've got the action, you've got the intensity. It's all there. It starts off with this homeless guy who touches another guy, and now this guy sees into the future and he sees his death. He ultimately ends up causing all of it in that he calls somebody trying to get a hold of Daisy, and that ends up, they show up right as Hydra shows up, and everything that this guy saw comes true. And so, Daisy goes to rescue the homeless man when she realizes he's inhuman, manages to touch him, and sees several things. She sees Lincoln with a bleeding forehead. She sees Fitzsimmons standing outside snowing for some reason. She sees Coulson shooting at her. She sees herself taking down a bunch of guys. Like, she sees all of this stuff coming true. And so ultimately, the main goal of the team is we need to try to stop this. We need to try to make sure none of this happens. And ultimately, it all happens. I love how Fitz explains the whole timeline thing. And it kind of makes it feel like time is set. Like, whatever this guy sees and whatever he causes these people to see, it will happen. Like, no matter what. Which is kind of interesting to see, because it looks like, after everything Daisy saw, Coulson was like, okay, we need to do this and this and this to try to keep you from seeing all that stuff, from trying to keep it from happening. All of this, we need to take all these steps. And ultimately, none of it mattered. They tried to get May ready to go, so she could go in the place of Daisy. And then all of a sudden, Lash shows up, and now May can't go. And now Daisy's going. But she's going alone, so nobody else can. But then all of a sudden, they see Ward on the camera. So now they decide, we need to go now. It's so funny how it feels like they were doing everything they could to try to stop it. And then it happened anyway. It's like, all of that felt like it was for nothing. And I don't think that was I don't think that was bad on the part of the show. It's not like they, decided all of this stuff and then went back and said, we're not going to do any of it. And, that's the point. It's like everything you try to do to stop this timeline from happening, stop what Daisy saw from happening, it doesn't matter in the end, because it's going to happen. Like, it is set. It is for sure going to happen. I would like to have seen, though, like, if the guy doesn't call for Daisy and talk about Hydra, would they still have shown up anyway, and would all of that still have happened? I don't know. But yeah, it was fun seeing that, and I was really worried that Fitz was going to explain the time travel like they did in Interstellar, which apparently has also been done before. I was watching honest trailers for it. Like rolling up the piece of paper and talking about the wormhole thing or something like that. Anyway, because he grabbed a piece of paper, I'm like, oh no, are they going to do it again? But then he did explain it very well, drawing the line on the sides of the paper and showing that part. So, overall, though, I think this is probably my favorite episode of the second half of the season so far. I mean, the one where Bobby and Hunter left the show was really sad and upsetting, but I think this one on the whole is the best episode we've had so far. Like, just everything about it, it's what Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is to me. I mean, the one line where Coulson's talking to Lincoln and he's talking about the Terminator movies, he's like, I've never understood time travel. Like, if John Connor sent somebody back in time to save, to make sure that he was born from his mother, doesn't that mean that he doesn't have to send somebody back because it already happens? And Lincoln's just like, I didn't see the first Terminator movie. Coulson's like, you're off the team. I started cracking up. It was hysterical. So, there are funny moments like that. There are also very intense moments. Like, all of this just felt like it was leading up to this epic showdown, and it did. Everything felt like it was going wrong. All at one time. You've got Lincoln being taken out by the guy who, I thought he could only control guns. Apparently he can move any metal with his mind, or I don't know if he just has straight telepathy. But I honestly thought he could only control guns with his mind, but he throws a fire extinguisher with his mind and hits Lincoln in the head, causes the bleeding. Um, you've got Daisy fighting Gideon Malik on top of the roof, and he's got this power armor stuff. I'm thinking Fallout 4, sorry. But he's got this cybernetic stuff on that these people created at the business, and he's fighting her, and she's, getting the crap beat out of her. May is talking to Andrew? Why did I forget his name all of a sudden? I'm pretty sure it's Andrew Lash. She's talking to him right before he turns for the last time into Lash. He's fairly certain this is going to be the last time when he changes and he'll lose himself completely. So all of this stuff is going on. There's dramatic music. I forget what Coulson was doing at the time. I think he was talking to Lincoln or somebody. Like it felt like it was all going wrong. I'm like, what is going on? This feels like everybody's about to die. It was a very intense moment. So really well done scene. I'm not gonna say I enjoyed it because it makes me sound like I'm strange, but I kind of don't mind the fact that they're being a bit more, I guess, graphic than Marvel normally is. I mean, Daredevil is very, it's not graphic, but it is very much more, what's the word? Crap. It's not graphic, but it feels more realistic, like the fighting and stuff. So even that, which is probably one of the darker parts of Marvel, doesn't have a whole lot of blood and guts and stuff. This one, this show, especially after what happened with the new Ward or whatever, whenever he absorbed all those people's life energies and all that was left were these bloody skeletons, I was just like, wow, that was pretty gruesome. And all of a sudden he does it again to these guys in this boardroom, and then Malik gets this cybernetic skeleton on him, and he starts crushing the guy's head. And at first I was just like, okay, so we're gonna cut away and we're gonna hear, right? No, they actually showed like part of his face getting crushed in, and its blood started like coming. I'm like, oh my god, like what? Where did that come from? Like I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, blood and guts, but it was kind of out of nowhere. I'm like, we're gonna cut away, and then we didn't cut away, and it started to get crushed. I'm like, what is this? It was kind of shocking, but yeah, it was interesting to see that they're being a bit more graphic and a bit more gruesome now with some of these deaths. I don't know if that's going to become a thing for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. now. Like if, obviously the fact that we have this inhuman Ward that can turn bodies into literal just bloody skeletons, it feels like we're kind of getting a bit more gruesome, and I don't know, it was pretty intense. Yeah, also some other good stuff with kind of Malik realizing he may not be the one in control anymore. I mean, after what happens in the boardroom, you see him sort of like start to question this new Ward, and then he gets the cybernetic skeleton, and he feels just extremely powerful. And Ward, I'm going to talk about his character in a second, because wow, what a transformation as far as Brett Dalton. I applaud you, man. Like, it's incredible. But he starts talking to him about, you never felt true power until you've killed somebody with your bare hands, like Coulson did to me with the. And so that's when he crushes the guy's face. And then at the end, after Daisy stops him, with the help of the guy that made him see his future, he calls the guy that controls things with his mind, and he starts talking about, I thought you were supposed to protect me, and I thought you were working for me. You're supposed to be working for me. And the guy's just like, I'm right where I need to be. So I think he's starting to realize that he may not be as in control as he thought he was, which is kind of an interesting change for him. But Brett Dalton, I mean, oh my goodness. Grant Ward, the change he went through after we found out he was Hydra in first season. At first he was just kind of this fun-loving guy who was just like, making jokes. He at first seemed a bit serious, but then when he started to really get connected to the team, because he was kind of a lone wolf at first, when he started to make those connections and really start to get along with them, you really did start to enjoy his character. Like, he became a lot more fun to deal with, and making jokes with Sky and Simmons and Fitz, and chatting up with Coulson and stuff. Like, it was sort of fun with his character. When he turned to Hydra, he became a villain, but he was still kind of a fun villain. Like, the one scene, the Dirty Half Dozen, whenever they had the team back together in the second season, and all 6 of them were finally back together for one mission. Ward's back. He's just sitting there, like, giving the details of the mission, and everybody's glaring at him. He's just like, "Hey, look, guys, I just wanted to clear the air." He had these moments where it felt like it was the old Grant Ward that was in the first season, and then all of a sudden he turns to villain again after the one episode with Bobby. Now that Grant Ward has died, he's come back as this non-Grant Ward, this Inhuman, supposed to be all-powerful. This episode really, really showcased it. Like, at first, he was kind of weak and skeleton-y because he, hadn't absorbed anybody, whatever the reason. He seemed kind of like, meek and feeble and not able to do anything. Now that he has more power, his choice of words, the tone that he uses, it's not Grant Ward at all. He sounds like an ancient being who's been here forever. The way he's talking to Gideon is just incredible. I'm like, who is that? That's not Grant Ward. Because the tone of his voice just sounds so condescending. Like, you have no idea the power that you're messing with right now, Gideon. Like, you don't even know. It's incredible. I love this performance, and I can't wait to see more of it, even though it might mean the death of one of our main characters, because it feels like he could just kill him. I don't know. He does seem a little bit OP, but we'll see if there's like a way to stop him as we go forward. But yeah, just really, really good character. Excited to see more of him and what he's become now. I will say the one thing that I'm not frustrated with, I'm not nitpicking, but I am a bit confused about, is it felt like this guy was showing the death of people. Like the first guy touched him and saw his death. Daisy touched him, and Simmons at one point's like, what if she saw her own death? And then after that, the one nitpick I do have is that after Simmons said that, what if she saw her own death? The next thing you know, like, all the snow, it turned out to be burning pieces of a billboard, but it's falling, and then she and Fitz are just, like, smiling. I'm like, wait, didn't you just ask what if this is her death you saw, and you're not getting any report from her, and yet you're smiling? Like, you don't know if she's okay, and you're smiling? That was kind of confusing, but I'm confused as far as, I don't feel like even the characters know at this point, but whose death do they see? Do they just see somebody's death, or do they see their own death? Do they see somebody else? Like, I don't know, because it feels like the first guy touched him, saw his own death. Daisy touched him, saw the Inhuman that could do. The homeless guy, she touched him and saw the homeless guy's death. The guy in the boardroom touched him, he got touched and saw, like, the board members' deaths. He touched Gideon, and I'm guessing Gideon saw somebody's death. I wonder if they're going to show us what he saw later on, but he's very afraid right now. I'm wondering if Ward kills him, or Inhuman Ward kills him, and he's realized that, and so he's trying to, like, distance himself. And then Daisy touched him one more time and saw what we saw at the beginning of the season, the space shuttle that's, like, blinking red alarms. She saw the little cross necklace that Yo-Yo has, and then saw the S.H.I.E.L.D. badge and then explosion. Whose death is she seeing? Like, is she seeing her own? Is she seeing Yo-Yo's? I'm so confused. I'm like, what does this all mean? And like I said, I don't think this is they're I think they're purposefully keeping it vague because they don't want us to know. They don't want us to be like, oh, well, they see somebody's death connected to them or around them, so clearly this is whose death it is. So we still don't know what's going on. We still don't know who's in the space shuttle, why the space shuttle's there, why Yo-Yo's necklace is there. We don't know any of this stuff. So it's not. It's leaving a lot of questions and a lot of mystery, which I do like. It's just very confusing how his powers work. Um, so yeah, still really enjoyed the ending. Just as far as like I said, the action was good, the intensity was good. Malik ends up though getting beaten a little bit. Like I don't know. Whenever Daisy used her powers at first, it felt like it just sort of bounced off of him. And I'm just like, holy crap! Like that's I don't know. Maybe she just missed and hit the billboard, and that's what happened. But either way, second time, whenever he got touched, and started seeing whoever's death, Daisy blasted him and kind of shut down the suit. I I, I guess the what's his face? I guess the homeless man that could show the future. I guess he did die as well. They kind of made it look like he died. I wasn't really sure how. Like Malik had him by the throat, but it didn't seem like he did much to kill him. I'm wondering if maybe he just, being choked out, maybe crushed something in there, and so he had a little bit of life left in him. And then whenever Daisy touched him and used that last bit of his power, I think maybe that's what ultimately took the last life out of him. And if that's the case, then Daisy might feel guilty. Don't know. The final thing that I want to talk about, though, I know this has kind of been jumping around a little bit, but this is something that I wanted to save until the end because it was the most fun. And I kind of expected that something like this was going to happen, but we did see everything from her vision come true. What I liked about it, because at the beginning I'm thinking, okay, if they do it this way, I'm gonna love it because it's gonna be awesome. Sure enough, we did see all of it come true, but some of it happened in ways that we weren't expecting. Um, I'm really curious to see how she was able to see things that were not from her eyes. Like she saw Lincoln with the bloody head, she saw Fitzsimmons holding hands with the burning cardboard raining down on him. It's kind of like, how did she see that? Like that's with Coulson, she saw it from first person point of view. When she's fighting the guy, she sees that from third person, but still around her. And then the other stuff happened nowhere near her. So how did she see all of that? I don't know. That was kind of confusing. But we did see all of it happen. Lincoln obviously got hit by the fire extinguisher. Coulson shooting at her turned out to be a one-way mirror, and he was shooting through the mirror, which was pretty cool. And then Fitzsimmons with the snow, it turned out to be the burning cardboard. And then the one that I really like, though, is that we did see the homeless man in her vision twice. One time getting into, like, being pushed towards the helicopter, and then the other time laying next to her saying, I thought you could help. At first I thought that meant, he was going to be disappointed that, he thought that she could help save him or, ultimately save the... What ended up happening was he saved her, and then as he's talking to her, he's talking about his daughter and how he wanted to make sure she didn't grow up alone. And he said, I thought you could help with that. I was like, that's genius! Like, throwing that in there, that line totally, I thought, meant something completely different. And to switch it around like that and make it mean something truly meaningful was just genius. Maybe I'm in love with this show too much, but for me, I'm just like, that was really smart. That was really well done. So yeah, really did enjoy this episode. I guess the one other thing that I will mention, just because I'm a Criminal Minds fan too, Elle from like the first two seasons, Elle Greenaway, she ended up being the homeless guy's wife in this episode. I thought that was kind of fun. Anyway, but it was a good episode. It really was. I enjoyed it. It showed everything that I enjoy about Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., all of the fun, all the action, all the intensity, the excitement. And on top of that, it's getting a bit more brutal. It's not staying in the realm of, oh, we're Marvel, so we're all happy-go-lucky. Like everybody looks at Ant-Man and Guardians of the Galaxy like, oh, they're fun. They never get dark. And have you watched Daredevil? Now Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is even getting a bit more intense with its action. Like, I don't know. Some people just want to hate Marvel because of how loved it is. It's gonna happen. So that's my opinion. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. What did you like and not like about this episode? What do you think Ward's or Inhuman Ward's plan is going forward? Obviously it seems like he really wants to just control the world. I don't know. It's his motivations are very well kept. Well, very well hidden. In that I honestly don't know where he's going from here, what he plans to do. So yeah, it's good. I like what they're doing with that. So let me know what you think of that. Other stuff, discuss whatever. Leave a like and subscribe for more Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and I'll see you at the next review. Peace out.